Hello, and welcome to the Friday Night Author Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Baker, and during the next half hour, we'll be speaking with several very talented authors about their newly released books, what their inspiration was for creating their unique stories, and why it would be a great book to read and share with your friends and family. Our next book on the Friday Night Author Roundtable, a continuation in a story that I'm really excited to find out more about. The book is called Twin Fix: Obscure Reflections by author Noel from Christian Faith Publishing. Di, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell everybody a little bit about this book.
Twin Fix: Obscure Reflections is a continuation from my first book, which was titled The Virgin Mother. 3 of the same characters are continuing on in Twin Fix: Obscure Reflection. And it basically takes on my character, her name is Diana, that she basically is a trouble magnet and has a tendency to draw trouble to herself. And, of course, in doing that, takes her on an adventure, whether she wants it or not. And it usually requires her husband and a few others to get her out of trouble. Now,
what inspired you to write this story and write this series? Did you draw from any of your own personal experiences, or where did that all kind of come from?
I have always been a habitual daydreamer all my life, childhood on up. And I just never thought of writing them down. And then going through college, I am a teacher. I was an elementary teacher. Going through college, I had to take a children's literature class where I had to write a child's book. And from there, I actually found that I loved writing stories. And my oldest niece really, really pushed for me to start writing the stories down. And some of it is from my life. Some of it is from experiences other people have had in their lives that they have testified of. And then some of it is make-believe. And the fun part is trying to figure out what's real, what's not, what happened, what's, that's the fun of it.
Now, who's kind of your target reader? Who do you think is going to be the type of reader that's going to enjoy this story and these books the most?
I was wanting my stories to be able for younger ones to read it and enjoy it. But I also wanted it so that adults could read it and enjoy it. So some of the wording and some of the situations, there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, there's a little bit of undertow that younger children may not catch, that the adults would enjoy and get a laugh out of it. So it's a wide range of ages, and those that have read my book, most of them are adults, have said they totally enjoy it and are waiting for the next one to come out.
Now, how was it working with Christian Faith Publishing to be able to get this book out there and to be able to share something that everyone's going to enjoy?
Christian Faith has really helped me out a lot. Being new in publishing books, I really didn't know the ropes and didn't know the steps to take, and they've walked me through it. They've been very patient. So they've really encouraged me, and I've had no trouble whatsoever working with them.
Now, do you have anything new lined up?
Actually, I do. I do have Twin Fix: Trial by Fire, which is the second volume to the Twin Fix series. That one is going to be coming out shortly. And then, of course, I'm already writing another book.
Now, this book, Twin Fix: Obscure Reflections, when people read this, is there like a message that you hope comes across? And what would that be?
The big thing is trusting the Lord in what goes on in your life and being able to express and communicate what's in your heart and what's in your mind is another thing, not only to God, but also to those around you, especially your husband or your family. A lot of times, communication's one area that is usually the major key point of where everything starts falling apart because they don't communicate. I want to encourage communication. I want to encourage trusting the Lord. I want to encourage the walk that you have, that you may not understand what's going on, but God knows what's going on and He has control.
Well, that is a fantastic message that we all need, and I think this is going to be a fun book for all ages, and I think everyone's going to enjoy this, and I encourage everyone, pick up your copy today. The book is called Twin Fix: Obscure Reflections by author Noel from Christian Faith Publishing. Pick up your copy today, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, online, as well as at the brick and mortar stores, just a few of the locations. And Di, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy it.
If you've ever felt like there's a hole in the pit of you, like there's something missing, I think this next book in the Friday Night Author Roundtable is going to be perfect. The book is called 7, Becoming Salt and Light by author Jennifer Crunkleton from Christian Faith Publishing. Jennifer, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Now tell everybody a little bit about your book.
Well,
Well, this book actually started a little over probably 11 years now. It started when there were some changes in my life going on. Just needed to kind of reset, renew, and just kind of figure some things out for myself. So it started out with just some investigation and studying through the Bible, history, things of that nature. And as I began developing it, all the research and all, it just kind of turned into a book. It wasn't intentional to start with. It was just one of those things that came together. Were
you able to draw from your own personal experiences in writing this? And how was that process to turn this into a book?
Absolutely. The personal experiences is what intrigued me to start digging and investigating the history of the Bible and kind of some in-depth things that I think sometimes we just get to kind of going down a path and we kind of miss sometimes. And then as the book developed over that 10-year span, each time I would develop a new chapter or develop a new section in a chapter, it would just kind of relate to something that I had either been through or was either facing at that time. So it actually just kind of rolled out on its own and just kind of came together with life experiences.
Now, do you have somebody in particular, like a particular type of person or audience that you're gearing this towards?
I think it's definitely a Christian-based book. It's going to be a book that when people read it, they're going to ask questions, and that was what it was intended for. It gives you enough information to where it intrigues you, to where you want more. You want to know, give me more information, tell me more, and the whole point of that is to get people into the Bible. So I think it definitely has to be somebody that's maybe a new believer that's trying to learn a little bit more about the Bible and trying to look into, hey, what's missing in my life? Or it could be an experienced believer that has maybe went down that faith-based path, and sometimes we get lost and we step back and we get caught up in the world. This book, I think, can redirect them and take them down that path to where it opens up doors to where they can start digging and investigating and find where God's leading them.
Now, how was it for you working with Christian Faith Publishing to be able to see this book come to life on the page and to be able to share this message?
They did a great job. I was very excited when they chose the book to be published, but working through the editing process, I had several people to review things. We went back and forth on a couple of things, but it was for the best of the book and to be able to deliver proper literature out to the public. So I have nothing but good things to say about them. They've been very good, and they've taken very good care of myself and the book.
Now, do you have anything new you're working on or maybe lined up down the way?
So just 2 weeks ago, I was sitting down doing some studying, and I feel like he's led me to start another one. So there is another one starting now, yes.
Oh, excellent. We can't wait for more from you down the road. Now this book, 7, Becoming Salt and Light, when people read this, at the end of the day, what do you hope is the most important thing they gain, the most important message that they receive from this book?
Just a little bit of insight on our day-to-day walk in Christ and how do we take, the challenges or the trials that we may face and turn them into salt and light in the world. How do we take those tough roads or even some of those great things that we're going through and share them with the world and glorify the Lord in that?
I think we can all stand to have something to make us dig deeper and bring us closer to the Lord. And I think people are going to find that and more in this book. The book is called 7, Becoming Salt and Light by Jennifer Crunkleton from Christian Faith Publishing. You can get your copy today, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, online, the brick and mortar stores. Those are just a handful of the locations. And Jennifer, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good day.
This next book on the Friday Night Author Roundtable, a great adventure, a fun read, and a great lesson. The book is called Julie Jules Must Follow the Rules by author Kristi R. Winland from Christian Faith Publishing. Kristi, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, tell everybody a bit about what this book is about.
It was just a stress relief for me, really like an outlet, because when I wrote the book, I had just became a stay-at-home mom. I was a hairstylist for corporate. I was traveling around. I had 20 different salons that I was responsible for. And so the change of pace, being at home and not having tangible goals and having, like a tangible income and things like that, I was just kind of struggling with the adjustment. And I've always been like a creative person, not necessarily a writer per se, but I just kind of wrote it in the chaos of my toddlers running around, and God blessed me, and here it is.
Now, what kind of inspired this character, Julie Jules?
Well, Julie Jules is actually my daughter, Juliana, And all the characters in the book, Alex, Owen, they're actually my personal family. The book actually takes place in our home. So all the scenes that you see in the illustrations, that is an actual look into our real life. And Juliana is the only girl amongst the 3 boys, but yet she is just the most rotten and ornery one. And like I said, I was just sitting there in the chaos and like feeling like I was the only mom that didn't have it together. And instead of just kind of crashing and burning in that kind of crucial moment where I was struggling, I just was looking at Juliana, and she just looked like a character to me. She just had something about her. I could see her in a book, and that's just kind of where it started.
Now, how was it working with Christian Faith Publishing to be able to see this story come to life on the page?
Honestly, I couldn't have imagined it being any easier. They just helped me so much throughout the process. I mean, they answered my emails like text messages. They went into such detail when I would ask questions, extremely supportive, especially when going through the illustration phase. I was kind of getting nitpicky because I was like, this is my one shot to get this right. And they were so understanding, the illustrators, and every aspect of Christian Faith Publishing communicated so well and worked so well together. And oh man, I just can't say enough about the experience.
Now, have you thought about maybe turning this into a series, or do you have anything else you're working on?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of things going on. There's lots of things in the works. I'd love to do Julie Jules Goes to Bible School and have a lot of the lessons from the Old and New Testaments in there. So yeah, there's lots of things. I have lots of ideas that I have prayers up to God to help me get them out there eventually.
Oh, awesome. Well, we look forward to more. Now this book, Julie Jules Must Follow the Rules, when it's all said and done, what do you hope is the most important message that comes across with this book?
Honestly, the thing that I want the most, and you can kind of see it in the About the Author section in the back of the book, I just want all of us moms and all of us women and parents and everyone to just give ourselves a break. All of our toddlers break the rules. You are not mean. You are not the only one disciplining them. We discipline them because we love them. We're all in this together. Just give yourself a break. You're doing the best you can, and that's all you can do. I just want them to relax, take a deep breath, and just kind of laugh their way and pray their way through this toddler phase and the whole raising children's, journey that we all go on.
Well, tell you what, that is a fantastic message and a message that I think will be greatly received by a lot of moms out there. The book is called Julie Jules Must Follow the Rules by author Kristi R. Winland from Christian Faith Publishing. You can get your copy today, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble's, iTunes, online, the brick and mortar stores. Those are just a few of the locations. And Kristi, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Of course, our health and our wealth are two things we should be very concerned about in our lives. And sometimes we don't pay enough attention to either one of those. But I think this next book on the Friday Night Author Roundtable going to turn that around. The book is called How to Stay Healthy and Wealthy Under the Faith of Jesus Christ by author Casey Hopes and Crystal Wilson from Christian Faith Publishing. We have Casey Hopes on the line as well as Tony Garcia. Gentlemen, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for the invitation. It's great.
Now, Casey, tell everybody a little bit about this book you've written.
The Lord told me, say, you need to make this book. So me and my daughter, we put it together, and I got together with my pastor, and it tells you how to make the prayer map and how to get your foundation together, how to save $100,000 in 5 years or less, how to buy a house cash in 5 years, and how to get into small business and franchise it, and how to eat the right food so you won't get cancer and all the processed stuff, and how to pay back with God. I mean, you will feel it when you read it, and when you go through the steps. And this book will tell you how to line up with Jesus into the prayer map and focus on your goal that you're trying to accomplish. And I guarantee it works because when my mother made the prayer map, and I was wondering, I said, what you making? She said, I'm making something, because she was cutting out all kind of different magazines and stuff like that. And then I started to catch on as I was growing up, and I knew I never got in no trouble just like that, because something in my mind was talking to me, and she's been making that prayer map to keep me together. And that was really very powerful, and I was feeling it. So as I grew, then she made another one when I went to Vietnam, and the Lord looked over me over that, because I come back with my limbs and everything together. Then she made another one before she died. That was the most powerful one, because it's still in my closet today as how to stay healthy and wealthy, because I knew how to save the money and I knew how to eat the right foods. And that's why me and my daughter, and I kept her holy and kept her going. That's why she manifested with me, and we turned around, we put this book together, how to stay healthy and wealthy because it will benefit your life because you can continue on to your goal.
Now, Tony, can you talk a little about the website and your part in making this a multimedia endeavor?
This is an exciting time for us because once I met Mr. Hopes and how passionate he was about his story, and more importantly about Annalie Hopes, his mom, it was a kindred spirit concept of the love of Jesus Christ that connected us both. And then we were then kind of asking him from a film perspective. I wanted to see, what he wanted to do with not only advertising, but spreading God's word primarily. And there's so many negatives and positives out there in social media now, right? That I took this opportunity to say, look, maybe we can go to the next level of showing a social media platform for them. So we, as a company, TKG Media Productions here out of Houston, we then went and did the social media platform with, again, you can follow us on Prayer Map on Facebook. You can follow us on Prayer Map 19 on Twitter, and on Instagram also follow us on Prayer Map _19. So we have that ability to reach out, not only local from a social media standpoint, but nationwide and worldwide.
Now, do you guys have anything lined up next?
Absolutely. We turned that book, as a director-producer of this, we turned it into a video platform and a social media platform. So we covered the first 3 chapters of the book, and we're just about to get started with 4, 5, and 6 to kind of continue building that content to engage the audience out there that this is a format, along with the Bible, is to connect with God, along with each and every single chapter is connected to Bible verses, and it gives you a method of achievement through connecting with God. The other thing that we just started was the audiobook. One of the things that's so powerful, and you can order the audiobook online on the website, or you can go into any form of our social media and click on those links, and it'll lead you into the audiobook. So there's so many different levels of how to connect to this book, and it is a powerful story of what God is giving the Hopes family.
Well, I tell you what, this is such an exciting book. One more time, what's the website that people can go to and the social media platforms again?
The website is Healthy and Wealthy PM, or you can follow us on Prayer Map on Facebook. You can follow us on Prayer Map 19 on Twitter, and on Instagram also follow us on Prayer Map _19. You can follow us through all of that, any social media platform. Click on the link to our website. It'll connect you straight to our website, and then you can order the books from there.
Oh, awesome. Well, the book is How to Stay Healthy and Wealthy Under the Faith of Jesus Christ by author Staci Hopes and Crystal Wilson from Christian Faith Publishing. I encourage everyone, you can go to the website and find out how to order that book. You can also go to Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes as well, just some of the platforms online as well as at the brick and mortar stores. And I encourage everyone, pick up your copy today. Staci Hopes and Tony Garcia, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Thank you again. God bless you.
Our next book on the Friday Night Author Roundtable, an interesting book. I'm excited to find out more about it. It's called Aim to Be Like Jesus by author Mary Ruth Whitley from Christian Faith Publishing. Mary, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Now tell everybody a little bit about your book.
After reading the entire Bible, I realized that Jesus is in both the Old and New Testaments. I saw a thread of Jesus, the Messiah Redeemer, that travels through the Bible and connects the Old with the New. It has to do with the righteousness God wants mankind to find. Within all the pages of wonder and mystery, I found people like you and me. I enjoyed writing Aim to Be Like Jesus because it felt like I was bringing Bible characters to life. When you study the Bible and qualities of people from various perspectives within the pages of the Bible, it creates a bigger picture. I try to do that for the reader. My book begins with righteous Abel and ends with Jesus, who was righteous, perfect, and the final sinless sacrifice for mankind. The acronym AIM is meant to guide the reader to an attitude, then instruction, and finally a meditation or message found in Scripture.
Now, what inspired you to write your book?
Well, my heart was full of ideas about a book I felt the Lord wanted me to write titled The Be Attitudes for Christians. As I began writing ideas down and then categorizing them, I realized many Bible characters had this be attitude I was looking for. My writing soon became too much for one book, so I prayed about what I should do. Hearing God was complicated by the fact that I knew I had no platform or any reason to believe my book would be published or sell. Still, I kept listening. Although many people told me that books by published authors are usually self-published or not published at all. But God never said no. After much prayer, I decided to split the book in two and believe my efforts would be worth it. Therefore, Aim to Be Like Jesus is my second book, and it was actually more fun to write.
Now, who's the target audience for this book?
That would be Christians who are looking for a way to learn about people in the Bible, or maybe want some way to introduce non-Christians to the Bible. It could be used as a devotional. It has a cross-reference at the end, and so therefore it's a good resource, too. Also, sometimes it's just enjoyable to read about the mistakes Bible characters made and realize God forgave them.
Now, how was it working with Christian Faith Publishing to see this book published and come to life?
Most sites I found said they didn't take new authors. Christian Faith Publishing didn't say this, so I bit the bullet and called. They read my manuscript and accepted the Beatitudes for Christians. Then I began writing Aim to Be Like Jesus. My publisher has promptly helped me through each and every step.
Now, are you working on any new books right now?
I am. A novel titled The Remnant of Truth Seekers, Living God's Final Prophecies. It's a realistic, different, and definitely unique scenario of what happened after the rapture.
Now, when people read this book, Aim to Be Like Jesus, what do you hope is the most important message that they get from your book?
Well, in Ephesians 5:1, Paul says, be imitators of God. And then a little later, he also says, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. And that's in 1 Corinthians 11:1. So Aim to Be Like Jesus has over 32 examples which the reader can imitate. That's what I think is really important.
Well, I tell you what, this is, I think, a wonderful book and a wonderful message that I think everyone needs to check out. And the book is called Aim to Be Like Jesus by author Mary Ruth Whitley from Christian Faith Publishing. I encourage everyone, pick up your copy today. You can do that at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, online, as well as at the brick and mortar stores. And Mary, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
For any new believer in Christ, the road, can sometimes be a little rocky after you accept Christ into your life. And I think this next book on the Friday Night Author Roundtable going to help, straighten that path and help make things a little less confusing and difficult. The book is called Fear and Trembling, Working Out Your Own Salvation by author Staci Waszil from Christian Faith Publishing. Staci, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell everybody a little bit about your book.
Well, this book was completely God-inspired. He put a message in my heart for new believers, and that's just been my passion ever since. And when I first came to Christ, I kind of wandered around alone. So I wrote this book with God's help to help inspire new believers find their path and not have to wander alone.
Where did you get the inspiration to take what you had gone through and your experience and kind of put this in a book to help others? Where did you decide that, you wanted to write a book?
I was actually at a wisdom seminar, and it was laid upon my heart that this was the path that Jesus had been working with me on for the past 20 years. I've been through ups and downs in my own personal journey, which I've included in the book, and that has helped me to the conclusions that Jesus gave me. And when I read the first verse in Philippians 2:12, where it says, work out your own salvation through fear and trembling, it confused me. I'm like, how or why should you fear or tremble when it comes to God? And he really explained that to me, and I thought that was my starting point. I needed to explain this to new believers.
Now, I have to imagine as a target audience, of course, new believers are kind of the main target that you're looking at. But is this something where even people who have been in the faith for a while, but maybe their faith is wavering a little bit, or they don't feel their faith is as strong as it could be, do you think this is something they also would be able to gain a lot from?
Absolutely. I've been like a seasoned Christian myself, and I believe that any path along any Christian's walk can be strengthened or even gone back into to find new ways to strengthen your walk with Jesus and draw closer to him. And as seasoned believers, we all fall away sometimes and feel like our relationship isn't as close as we want it to be, and this can definitely help.
Now, how was it working with Christian Faith Publishing to be able to see this book in your hand and to be able to have this message to share with people?
It was a very exciting process. The thing I appreciated the most about Christian Faith Publishing is that I was involved in the entire process. Everything went through me. Everything was approved by me. They took my input on even how things were laid out. It was a very positive experience for me. This was my first book I've ever had published, so they really walked me through hand in hand.
Now, this book, Fear and Trembling, Working Out Your Own Salvation, what do you hope is the most important thing the reader gains from reading your book?
A closer relationship with Jesus. That's what it's all about.
Well, I tell you what, that's something we all need, is a closer relationship with Jesus, whether we're seasoned believers, new believers, or non-believers. And I think this book is going to be a great resource for helping strengthen that relationship. The book is called Fear and Trembling, Working Out Your Own Salvation by author Staci Waszil from Christian Faith Publishing. Get your copy today, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, online at the brick and mortar stores, just a few of the locations. And Staci, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Friday Night Author Roundtable. We'll be back next week with another great group of talented authors to discuss their books, their process, and their accomplishments. Have a great weekend, everyone.